Hey everyone, welcome to Sudbury Interviews. Today we have Mindbender. He's a magician and an escape artist who I had the pleasure of meeting when he was in Sudbury doing a show here just a couple of weeks ago. And we're going to talk about his career today. And just before we begin, you can join us on sudstown.com and join the conversation. Mindbender, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. How are you?
Very well, very nice, and I appreciate your time coming on the show because I know we were talking about it and trying to arrange our schedules.
Yeah, busy performers, eh? Trying trying
Yeah,
to get some time.
yeah. So how did this start for you? My first question is usually that to give the
hmm
audience an idea of.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I hope my story is at least relatable to a few people. I grew up with a very severe learning disability, which often made anything I did really impossible. Failing miserably in school to the point where I was told I don't even have to show up to science and French class anymore. There's just no point, is exactly what my principals and teachers told me. And because of the learning disability, I was constantly pulled out of class and placed into like these small little rooms. And now learning disabilities are a little more common and teachers are aware of them, but at the time for me not so much. And when I got pulled out, the bullying got even worse. And I just wanted to be liked. I just wanted friends. And my parents took me out of school completely because the bullying got that bad. And they had to work. And the way they would distract me is they'd put on marathons of Chris Angel's Mind Freak. And what attracted me so much wasn't so much the magic, it was the fact that Chris was liked. People wanted to be around Chris Angel, people wanted to see stuff. And I picked up a deck of cards thinking anyone can do magic, and you couldn't. It was impossible. Which was so funny though was because a week from that point was Christmas break, and my parents decided to take me to the Ontario Science Centre. And when I was at the Ontario Science Centre, there was a magician by the name Baldini who was doing two shows a day for the entire 2 weeks of Christmas break. And I fell in love with the first show. I went back to the second show, and then the third show, the fourth show. I saw all 14 shows. And after that, I ended up taking lessons with him every single week. And the minute I started learning magic, my life changed completely. I was invited to parties. People wanted to be in my friend group.
Wow,
People wanted to see the magic. And ironically, being told not to go to science class anymore, I found my true love at the Ontario Science Centre.
no way.
So
You you mean your true love like a partner?
magic is my
Oh,
partner.
gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because I was able to meet Baldini, who was my mentor, my a father figure, and he told me the secrets to magic. And that's, magic is essentially my partner. I am I'm married to this for the rest of my life.
That's great, man. Wow, yeah, what a story. So you were being bullied for
Yeah,
real, the real thing
yeah,
in
yeah,
Toronto.
pretty, yeah, pretty bad. And it was tough, right? But the minute magic came into my life,
Yeah.
that's true magic. Really, was it literally stopped overnight. The minute people realized I could make something disappear and reappear at the other side of the school, or read
Yeah.
minds, it was game over.
He's doing something that we can't do, and that's
Right,
cool.
right. And the principals and my teachers would sit me down and be like, "How did you just make that book disappear and reappear on the other side of the school, but you can't study for a basic math test?" They would say that to me all the time. And they would be
Yeah.
like, "This is the other side of magic, right? Like magic is not academic, but it can be used that way, and it helped me, not only succeed with school going forward, but build confidence."
So Chris Angel was one of your big influences.
He was the start.
The
I saw
starting, yeah.
Chris. Yeah, I owe my entire life pretty much to that guy.
Wow.
And I've had the chance to work with him, a couple years after that. But yeah, it changed my life forever. And then Baldini, who was the magician performer at the Science Center, told me the secrets. And then I was doing lessons with him every Friday for at least 5 years straight. Never missed a Friday.
So Baldini, is he still doing his show nowadays, or?
No, no. Unfortunately, in the pandemic, he did pass away.
Oh no.
Yeah, yeah. So it's my job as his student
Yeah,
to continue on his legacy. And as you saw when you came to my show, we sell magic
yeah.
kits, and he was very big on teaching the science behind magic. And he was teaching lunch programs, after school programs, and that magic kit is all about continuing his legacy. So we produce that too. Not to jump the gun on the interview here, because that's
No,
the,
that's
the
that's
latest
fine.
product. But to answer that question, that's my way of continuing his legacy. Yeah.
Well, there's no question about it that you're meant to do this. Like I saw you perform, and
It was so awesome to have you out with
yeah,
with your family, by the way, as well. So I really appreciate it.
yeah, and
Sudbury was a fun town.
you chose me with the seat thing, and I couldn't believe it because there was a letter behind my seat, an
Yeah,
envelope, and I had no idea. And my jaw kind of hit the floor there. It was really good, and
yeah.
you're
Good thing we cleaned
definitely
the floors.
you're meant to be doing this. There's no doubt about it. So
I
tell
really
me about
appreciate it.
this 12 hours buried alive. I'm just looking at
Yeah.
your Instagram account here. It's
Hmm.
Mindbender Magic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mindbender
So
Magic.
what's going on with that?
So another inspiration behind my magic was obviously David Blaine. If you grew up in the early 2000s, David Blaine was a fixture in that, right? And I always loved the escape factor. There's not many magicians doing it. The still, or at least in Toronto and Ontario, and the other magician who was a part of that show, Scott Hamill, he's one of the very few escape artists as well. And I always loved escapes. Houdini was a huge inspiration of mine as well. But I remember getting a book from my cousin right when I started off magic, and it was a David Blaine book. And one of the first pages was David Blaine being buried alive, and I was just fascinated by
Hmm.
it. And the reality is you can't really get a place in the world to be buried alive. It's not only just super illegal, it's not possible. And I had a friend who owns this huge acres, like tons of land, and he doesn't even live there. He just owns the property. And I called him up one day. I was like, "Hey, if I built
Huh.
a giant, if I got excavators and I digged a giant 6 foot grave, would you let me bury myself alive?"
No
And he's
way.
like, "It's funny you said that. We have excavators here right now digging up some of the property." And he puts the phone down and he goes, "Hey, can we keep the excavators for another week?" They said, "Sure." And he's like, "Yep, you're good to go." And within a week, we built a coffin. And I wanted to push the limits on what was really possible. And I had every person in the world telling me not to do this. And the idea was to be buried, put the soil over me. I'd have two pairs of handcuffs on. I would
Wow.
make my escape, and that was that. But I wanted to see how long my body can handle being buried alive. So I set out for my own record of being buried alive for 12 hours. And it was 12 hours in the late month of November. It was
Whoa.
freezing.
Yeah.
And we did that, and I decided to also live stream the entire thing. So if you go on my Instagram, my YouTube, my Facebook during those 12 hours, you would see me at all times. And then I had an entire team in a tour bus on above the property, just basically a giant control room controlling everything, so the feed would never go down. And yeah, it was crazy. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. I've done other escapes since then. I don't think anything beats that when it comes to mentally. It was mentally painful. The idea is the body is not supposed to be alive underground. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you're hanging upside down. Your first instinct is to put your hands there, right? So you don't fall on your head. Mentally, it was so draining, and it took a lot of recovery actually after the stunt to get back
What,
to
like a
my mental
week?
state.
Couple
A
days?
little more, a couple, maybe I'd say close to 2 months, because it wasn't just mentally. I would sleep deprive after that. Like I couldn't have a full hour sleep. I'd wake up constantly. Imagine having the same dream every single night for 2 months straight. And like not just a little, like
Holy
roughly the
shit.
same dream, the spitting image of the same dream. And I would wake up in fear and panic that the coffin caved in on me. So then I had to go to sleep therapy. It was just crazy. The aftermath of that was pretty brutal. Yeah.
So this what happened in November of last year?
November of 2022.
Okay, okay. And you already pulled this off and everything. Wow.
Yes, yeah, yeah. And then we made a video about it too, and it's on my YouTube, Mindbender Magic. It's on my YouTube. There's like we condensed the 12 hours into, I believe it was 12 minutes, and so you can kind of have an idea of what the stuff was.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's intense, man. Like
yeah,
I'm looking
yeah.
at a photo of you with Chris Angel on your Instagram.
Yes, yes,
So, and
yes.
your shirt says Mindbender on it. So you've had this name. You've been doing this. Like, how old were you when you had the name?
S- So the name came when I was, I believe, 11 years old. My uncle gave it to me. He goes, "Who's the mind freak? You're the mind bender." And I was like, "Oh, that
Okay.
sticks."
Yeah, that
And
works.
I grew up loving skateboarding, and Bam Margera, who is from Jackass, I remember watching his show, and I realized that every single time he's on television, this was early 2000s, he would be wearing Bam merch. And I'm like, that's brilliant. And when I was doing magic tricks, this was when people started filming everything. Vine was the huge app at the time, and I realized everyone's always recording me when I'm doing magic tricks. So why not make merch? So I struck a deal with American Apparel to produce an entire clothing line, and I was selling T-shirts, hats. By the age of 13, I had a full-on clothing company, and you would never see me outside of my house without wearing merch. And the idea of this was that every single time, and it looked a little weirder because I put the logo around my stomach area because that's where I was doing card tricks. So when the video was being recorded, my logo was straight in the shot. And that's how I ended up, again, I don't mean to jump the interview here, but that's how I ended up getting on Canada's Got Talent. But to go back to your Chris Angel story, yeah, I made the merch and then I flew to Vegas. And do you want me to explain the Chris Angel story
Yeah,
quickly?
yeah, for sure, man.
So this is another magical, my whole life kind of seems magic, right? It doesn't, nothing is planned, it just magically happens, right? We go to Vegas just for a few hours. We had a family trip in California, but we decided to stop in Vegas just to see Chris Angel's show, and then we would be right out of there driving to California. And we get into Vegas at 3 p.m. We were supposed to get in there around 10 a.m. The truth is we missed our flight, and we got the new flight, and we ended up landing at 3 p.m. We go straight to the Luxor where Chris Angel's show is, and my mother, being the determined mother that she is, goes to the front desk and asks the lady, "Can you please point us into the direction of Chris Angel's dressing room?" The front desk lady said, "Ma'am, we can't show you where that is." And my mom goes, well, listen, we came all the way from Toronto. We need to go meet Chris Angel. And the front desk lady was like, "Ma'am, we're not showing you where Chris Angel's dressing room is." And my mom goes, "Never mind, he's right there." And at that exact moment, he
Huh.
walked right through the front doors. And I have my merch on. I run up. I go, "Hi, I'm Mindbender." And Chris goes, "Oh, I see that," because I had hats on. I had Mindbender shoes. I had Mindbender T-shirt. And I go, "Hey, I'm from Toronto. Can I show you a magic trick?" I showed him a magic trick. He could not be any nicer. He was the nicest guy in the world. And we had a room. We booked a room actually just for the few hours that we were there. And I left my book that Chris Angel had a book out at the time, and I left it up in the room. And I go, "I want to go sign my book, but I didn't want to miss him." So I was running to the elevator, and then Chris goes, "Mindbender, you don't have to run. I'll be here to sign it when you get back." And I go up to my
Uh-huh.
room, I grab the book, I bring it down, and he goes, "Dude, I love your energy. We're filming Mind Freak. Do you want to be a part of it?" And I said, "Sure." So we end up filming, I think it was the last season of Mind Freak, the entire 5 hours we were there. Now, if we never missed our flight, we would have been in Vegas at 11 a.m., which means at that time, 3 p.m., we would have been somewhere exploring out on the strip. So it's really funny how life like that works.
This is fate.
It's insane.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
insane.
Yeah, I know all
Uh,
about that stuff, man. I love that
yeah,
stuff. It's for real. Like it's for real.
yeah,
Synchronicity, things like that. And
yeah, yeah. It all
so
happens for a reason.
are you still selling the merch, the Mindbender merch? Was that
So so I stopped selling the merch. I'm the type of guy that I do something,
then you
I
move on
make
to
it
the next
work, and
thing?
then I move on.
Yeah.
I believe at that time also YouTube was becoming a really big thing, and Roman Atwood, Logan Paul, Jake Paul, they all started wearing merch in all of their videos. And then I kind of wanted to, I was going through, I was mid-teens at this time. I wanted to start being known more for my magic tricks than the guy with merch. I was just known for the guy with merch
Right.
for years. So I started noticing that, where I now wanted to change it and started working more on making the show and not the guy with the merch. So I did stop that for a bit. And then the latest merch was the magic kits, but that's much later.
Well, when I was in college, I was staying at a friend's place, and one of the roommates there had he had a bunch of DVDs. You know what those are, right?
Yep, yep.
And he had a bunch of them were Chris Angel, Mind Freak, and he had the Dave and Blaine stuff too. And I'm like,
Hmm.
what is this? You know, because all I knew about magic was Copperfield, the TV
Yep.
show, right? So I
Hmm.
started watching all of that, and it blew my mind. And so, yeah, I
Yeah.
have a lot of respect for the world of magic,
Oh, thank you.
and we don't have a lot of traveling magicians like yourself coming through the city. So I
Hmm.
thought that was really, unique and original.
Yeah.
And
I'm
yeah,
doing a whole, yeah, well, I'm doing it. Thank you. Well, magic is so special, and I'm glad that you acknowledge that. But just to touch on coming to Sudbury, I'm doing the tour of the experience, and we're the goal for that is to hit towns like Sudbury or Perth, Ontario. These small towns, well, Sudbury's pretty big now, but these towns that may not see the entertainment, they always have to go to the city, Toronto, to see it. So, and I be honest, I was beyond shocked on the outcome of Sudbury. That crowd was amazing, and the support was unreal. They were buying tickets weeks before the show, which almost never happens in the city. So it was really special. And we can't wait to come back. I've been already talking with the venue to bring another date back, hopefully soon.
great. Well, let me know
Yeah.
if you do, when you do.
Oh, of course. Of course.
So
You're taken care of.
what else do you do for fun, like hobbies and other, or what else do you like
Well,
to?
uh, you know, I don't have much time to do hobbies. I'm on the road most of the time,
Yeah.
and then I'm gigging. Although I will say the show, The Experience, that I've been touring and I've been doing since 2017 has been my priority. But the last year and
Hmm.
a half, I was able to finally start writing and producing a brand new show, which I've not done since 2017. So that's really replaced my free time, and it's been so much fun. I know it sounds lame, but I've been so busy, which is great. So this is the newest thing, is writing and producing this new show, really trying to get my creative mind going, and it's complete, it's done, and we started rehearsals last week, and it's debuting on October 4th, um,
Where?
at a theater in Aurora called Theater Aurora.
Okay.
um, so we're debuting it there. That's like kind of my home theater. I've been performing there since 2013, and yeah, it's been so much fun. I do all my shows there, and then after that, then I'll tour it. So we're building the show completely around this theater, which is really cool. And yeah,
So when you're saying you're writing, like you mean paper pen? Like how does the
yeah,
writing process work?
yeah. I'm a paper and pen guy. I like to write it. I like to see it on a paper. Then I'll put it into a document. But I have a vision for a show. Let's just say something creative, like let's say The Experience, just for now, where it's the idea of The Experience came from, at the time I was in a really dark place in my life, and I wanted to experience joy and laughter. And then I reversed it, basically saying, if I can write something that, if anyone in my audience is going through something and can enjoy it, then I can make it work. So I kind of wrote the show in a way, and it's something that I would have loved to see, or put a smile on my face during that time. And of course, it evolved and it changed and stuff. And then I'll take what I think is crazy. Like, imagine if we had a calculator on someone's phone, and everyone in the theater puts a number in that calculator. We press equals, and that number that comes up was predicted. Okay, great. How do we make that work? Let's break down, how does a calculator work? How does the audience members work? And then I'll write in a script and weave it through and try to make it work. For example, what are the three most things people carry on them? Number one, a phone. Number two, a wallet. Number three, a set of car keys. movies. I'll write a script, some things get thrown out, like the Michael Jackson act that I wrote in my show. That comes from a real life story. A lot of the stuff comes from real life experiences. We write it down, and then it's kind of like you're a musician. I guess it's kind of essentially like writing an album, right? You have your songs, and then you got to do your cuts, unfortunately,
Hmm.
whatever makes the record. Um, and then things get shelved. Like I've written stuff 5, 6 years ago, and I've brought them back, and then I brought things back thinking they would work, and they didn't.
Right.
So
So, and then you guys rehearse the whole show, do a run through of it,
yes. So what I'll do is I'll get a venue, I'll book it for the month,
the whole
load
month.
in the show, the whole month usually, load in the show, build the show there, like physically build it with props or whatnot, and then
Wow.
run the show. It's sometimes longer than a month, but we can't always get a venue for a month straight. Sometimes we'll go to a warehouse or
Hmm.
an event space, and we'll build it there. So yeah,
That's fascinating.
yeah, it's
Very
and that's the
cool.
thing. Like I the experience was written in 2017, and I toured it. I've been touring it since then, pretty much, other than the little block of the pandemic. There was so much learning from there. So now I'm like, okay, that show has its wheels. That show is moving. It's on its own now. It's out of my hands. I just have to show up and perform that show. Now I can try to build something from all that experience. No pun intended. And that's where this new show, Destination, yeah, and that's where this show, Destination Unknown, comes from,
Okay.
right?
There's the
So,
comedian part.
yeah.
So, what is a mentalist? Because it says you're a magician, mentalist, escape artist. What is that mentalist bit of it?
A mentalist, right? A mentalist
Yeah.
gives the ability to read minds. Now, my show is all about what is real, what is magic, and what is an illusion. And then, therefore, you can walk away with your own personal experience on what you think that is. But a mentalist is the ability to read minds. Now, I can't read everything in your minds, and I do explain this in detail in my show. I cannot read everything in your mind. That's impossible, okay? I know the wife does enough of that for everyone. But I do read certain points in your mind. So if I say pick a card, you pick the ace of spades. That is a mental image, and that's usually stored in your brain. But it's not always, it's not a trick, meaning many times I've brought people up on stage and they're stressed because they have relationship problems or work problems, and it makes it almost impossible for me to get that little point where I have to get. So,
Because it's like a storm instead of clear water,
100%, a
right?
hundred
It's
percent.
being, uh, yeah, like it's fuzzy static
Yeah,
instead of
I,
you can't access
yeah.
it.
I say usually you build up a wall, right? And unbeknownst to them, they're building up a wall in their mind, and they're not letting me access the points that I have to access. But yeah, it's not a trick. So
Well, I have to ask you this question because it's the daily segment, and
for sure.
full disclosure, Mindbender does not live in Sudbury, and I made an
No, I do not.
exception to bring him on the show because I met him in person while he was in Sudbury, working in Sudbury, and he comes here for work. So
And I say thank you so much again for making that exception. And I
no
did
problem.
enjoy my time in Sudbury. I came a couple weeks before the show to do a media. The country radio had me, TV had me, and then I spent some time at the bars and restaurants. And the locals are just fantastic. And I can't wait to come back. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just really wanted to say that.
No problem. So here's the question: um, What is one thing that you feel would make Sudbury greater? Because it's called Greater Sudbury, right? That's the name
Yeah,
of
I
the
love
city.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, great. That's a great question. Oh man, I'm a little stumped. I'll be honest. I'm a little stumped. Because I think when I got to enjoy Sudbury, I didn't get to explore all of Sudbury, right? I stayed around the hotel, and then I went to a few of the bars around the area. And everything I would say to make Sudbury great, they've already done. Um, what would make Sudbury great?
Greater. Yeah.
Greater than it already is.
Right.
Is there
More magic.
more magic for sure, but is there a transit that goes from Sudbury straight to Toronto?
You mean a bus
Yeah,
or a
like a
train?
straight bus, a bus. Or
Yeah,
train?
we've got the buses.
You
I
got the
think we
buses.
used to have the trains, but I'm not. I
You
don't
don't
know
have
if we.
those anymore.
No, we should though, because trains are
Yeah, there
fun
you go.
and
Right,
they're efficient.
right. Yeah, so a straight train goes straight from Toronto to again. That could be it. That could probably one, but maybe more magic. Maybe more magic. Yeah, that would be a good one.
Yeah, good, right on. Good
More
answer.
magic.
Nice.
You could always use more magic.
Yeah,
And you do music, right? I saw that you do music.
yeah. I've been doing music for a while.
Do you have a venue in Sudbury you love performing at?
Oh yeah, yeah. Mostly like halls. My favorite hall is called Fielding Park Hall. It's out in the
Mm-hmm.
sticks, kind of, but it has a high ceiling in there, and it's like a cathedral, like high ceiling. So you don't need a lot of volume, and there's a natural reverb in there.
Okay, cool, cool.
So when you talk, when you speak and sing, it's very cathedral like in effect.
Right.
So that would be one of my favorites. And it's also the place that I want to get married when I do get
Oh
married.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Amazing. I mean, I really got to check it out next time I'm there.
Yeah. Well, hey man, it was really nice talking to you.
Ah, it's always a pleasure. Again, thank you for coming to the show. Thank you for helping with the promotion of the show. And yeah, thank you for having me on. I really, really appreciate it.
I've never had an interview go that fast. I mean, it's already
it
been 27, 28 minutes. And I'm like,
we could
wow.
keep going if you want. I'm here. I'm here
Well,
forever.
I would love to, but instead of that, I'll get you back on like a little bit later on. Not today, but like a couple months or something, because
In
I
an
like to
hour, call
keep
me
them
again.
at 30 minutes, or else it's harder to upload it and whatever logistical
30
reasons.
minutes is a great, great time. There's so many podcasts I love, but it's so hard to keep up with them because they're like 2.5 hours. Um, I
So
think 30 is a great sweet spot.
where do we find you? If people want to look you up, what do you have online?
Mindbendermagic.com. It's my website. You can book me there if you have corporate events coming up, private events. I've constantly come to Sudbury to perform for private events. So you can hit me up there on Instagram, Mindbender Magic, and on YouTube, Mindbender Magic.
Perfect.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me. I
My
really
pleasure.
appreciate it.
Have a great night.
You too. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye bye. Are we still live?